Hello, I'm Juan Davies, Chief Creative Officer at KCT and PBS SoCal, and I'm joined by the newsroom of KPCC and LAist on a daily reporter roundup. Let's start with you, Jacob. As fires continue to burn around the state, mayor news from Sacramento on climate change. What are the details?
Yeah, Governor Newsom signed an executive order that says that by 2035, the only new cars and trucks being sold in the state need to be zero emissions. So that could mean electric or hydrogen. Though that said, you can still buy, own, sell used gas powered vehicles. So they're not going to take them away from you. This could have a big impact on our greenhouse gas emissions, as passenger vehicles account for roughly 28% of them, but it is not a panacea, and it will likely take a long time before gas cars are actually phased out. And even if the fleet went electric tomorrow, there are a lot of other sources of emissions, including ships, agriculture, even our own households account for 6% of statewide emissions. And if you're hoping that pollution will disappear, I'm sorry to say that passenger vehicles account for a very small amount of that. So we need to clean up a lot of things before we get to kind of that perfect place.
We've got some semi-good news on the pandemic front. LA County officials say we're making some progress toward reopening. Lita has that.
Right, so it's only semi-good news. So we're about a month into the state's color-coded tier system for reopening the economy. And for the entire time, LA County has been in the purple tier, and that's the most restrictive level in that framework. But current data now shows that the county has reduced community transmission enough to qualify for a possible move into the less restrictive red tier. But there's a catch, so that won't happen right away. First of all, the county needs to maintain its rate of new COVID-19 cases and its testing positivity rate for at least 2 consecutive weeks. And secondly, officials previously said that they'd hold off until at least the end of the month before considering any new reopenings. So that's to be sure that the county isn't about to see another post-holiday spike. It's also important to note that we're talking about data that's about 10 days old. And that's when there is a significant drop in testing, in part because of the Labor Day holiday. Not to mention the fact that many testing centers were forced to shut down because of the heat wave earlier this month and bouts of poor air quality from wildfire smoke. And last week, the county reported 4 straight days of increased case numbers. Today, we also learned that the estimated transmission rate crept up slightly, so that could indicate that more cases are likely.
A county plan to help homeless people get housed in hotels during the pandemic is winding down. Gabriel's been looking at that.
Right. So what we learned this week is that Project Roomkey is winding down and actually going to end early next year. Now, this is a program that was designed to prevent a COVID outbreak in the homeless community. And LA County set itself a pretty ambitious goal, actually. It was to provide temporary housing for 15,000 people in these repurposed hotel and motel rooms. So today we talked to Professor Gary Painter at USC. And what he told us is that the Roomkey project was actually pretty successful. It was able to provide temporary housing for over 4,000 people, and it was able to do that in a record amount of time. But it fell short of its goal, that ambitious goal of 15,000 people. Many hotel and motel operators didn't want to take part in the long run, and many of the participants found that they needed more care than what they could find in a hotel room. So now that the funding is drying up, the officials have committed to finding permanent housing for all the participants. One source of that funding is going to be Project Homekey. So this is a governor program. Governor Newsom set aside some funding to actually buy these Roomkey hotels and turn them into permanent housing. The hope is that none of these participants are actually going to have to move out at all.
Finally, today we have a new head of the Cal State system. Adolfo has been reporting that story.
Yeah, the new chancellor for the 23 campus system is Joseph Castro. He's been president of Fresno State for 7 years, but he spent more than 2 decades as an administrator at several University of California campuses. He's the first Mexican-American chancellor of the very large university system. He's going to have to tap into all his skills because the university system is facing many challenges. First of all, Cal State campuses are mostly shut down for online instruction. The San Diego and Chico campuses have had large COVID outbreaks, and the pandemic has led to a $500 million cut in state funding to the system, and more cuts may be likely next year.
Thank you, Adolfo, and thank all of you at the KPCC and LAist newsroom, and thank you for tuning in. Take care of your health, your family, your neighbor, and we will see you tomorrow.